Alright everybody, thanks for tuning in. So today's video I'm going to be showing you how to do quite an upgrade to the stereo on your TJ Wrangler. So that includes 97 through 2006. So there's a difference between the 1997 through 2002 versus the 2003 through the 06 Wrangler. It's basically the shape of the stereo changed and they kind of updated some things. They both equally suck though and need to be upgraded just the same. So I have a previous video that I did that is specific to the 03 to 06 Wrangler, and this one I'm working on a 1999 TJ, so it'll be a little more specific to the 97 through 2002. But either way, it's basically the same process. So the things you need to put a double-din stereo in here is a completely new dash kit, and there are a couple of different options on the market. I'm going to be trying out a little more inexpensive option. So it includes this whole new dash panel. See, it's fit for a full double din and stereo controls. Now normally this would require just removing the stock radio, and then there's quite a bit of modification that has to be done behind the dash. So that's where the stereo choice comes into play. So folks over at Atoto, so this is a Android-based head unit manufacturer, and they sent me this new S8. So this is one of the more premium models that they have. So when I first opened the box, there's an external microphone, some USB extension cables. They have these line-out converters, so they do have dedicated subwoofer outputs on the stereo, but this is so if you wanted to put external amplifiers on your front and rear speakers, instead of using speaker outputs, they send you these converters for that. A USB extension. So this is an optional harness here that you would connect if you wanted the amp turn-on wire, subwoofer output, front camera in, and video input. So that's just some auxiliary stuff. There's also a SIM card holder here, so this does support a 4G SIM, so you could have your own standalone. Instead of using a Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone, you could have it running on a cell network. So they do include an external 4G antenna that you could mount in the windshield, and I will not be using that setup. Here is the rear camera harness. So this is a Bluetooth antenna, so this one does need to be connected. Wi-Fi antenna, parking brake wire, which don't need to connect, and rear camera input. So if you're going to be installing a backup camera, I'm not in this video, don't really need it on a TJ, but it is the time to do it. So you would hook that up. This will include a GPS antenna, which I'll show you how to mount under the dash easily. These are brackets for the stereo. They even include some screen protectors. That's neat. A trim bezel, which probably won't need. Okay, so here's the unit itself. Very nice display. They do make multiple levels of this stereo. So this is very similar to the A6 model, except the specs on it have been upgraded greatly. So this is the S8. This has 4 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of onboard storage, which is quite a bit. Again, like I said, this one has the onboard 4G modem. Obviously it has Wi-Fi, GPS. It does support wireless Android Auto, wireless CarPlay, and wired for both of them. So this is going to be a neat little upgrade for this older Jeep. I wanted something that had real clicky buttons. I don't like software buttons. If you do prefer the more slick look of capacitive buttons, they do offer a model. I'll have links in the description for that one as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to get the brackets screwed on the side. So to basically give you these side pieces to make it the same form factor as any other doubled-in stereo. And that is the one thing I want to talk about real quick, which is what separates Atoto from a lot of the other Chinese, Android radio manufacturers. They make their stereos in the, I'm not going to say standard double-din, but the correct double-din format to fit American vehicles. So any aftermarket dash kit that you buy has a double-din screen, but a lot of the stuff you'll find on like Amazon and eBay requires a lot more work to custom fit, like I showed in my previous video that I did. So this should be a really easy upgrade. This dash kit that I bought included everything you need, including the wiring harnesses. So it's just basically matching color to color from the Atoto to the aftermarket wiring harness. This will plug into the factory Jeep wiring. The only thing to take note on here that's a little funky with the wire colors on this harness, if you get the same one, is this third wire here. It's like this lightish greenish blue color. That should be the orange dimmer wire. So I hooked that up to the orange dimmer wire for the Atoto. And then another weird thing, this one here, this brown wire, that actually should be a solid gray wire. So that will connect to the solid gray wire. And then the last wire, that's the main thing we need to worry about, is the ground wire. The older Jeeps like this one don't have a ground wire in the harness. You just have to ground it to the chassis behind the stereo. So we'll need to put a little extender on here and ground that wire. So the first thing we need to do is pop this trim. It goes all the way across. You can just use a screwdriver. Just be careful, you don't want to break it. Pop that up. I'm going to go ahead and set this in the back out of the way for a minute. You can see we have these two Phillips head screws that need to come out right here. You can see, kind of pull it away, and then at the bottom, just gonna pop the clips out. You can see that just comes right off of there like that. This is what we're left with. So it looks like to get the stereo out, we've got a couple, this is like 10 millimeter. You can see our two wiring connections here in the back. The antenna kind of just unplugged itself when I pulled. So to get these out, there's just a couple clips we got to pry up carefully. We don't want to break anything, and they will just pop right out. Alright, so something to point out real quick. This antenna and wire is kind of short. It just runs to the glove box. So if you yank on it and accidentally unplug it and it comes out of here, don't freak out. We will hook it into the radio and kind of feed it back over to that area, and you can reconnect it in the glove box. Alright, so next thing, I'm going to get the brackets put on the stereo here. I'll show you how it gets put together. Hopefully you can't hear it. It's not too loud, but there's rain pounding down on the metal roof right now. We're getting the remnants of Hurricane Helena. Just the rain though. Alright, so I've got the aftermarket dash kit kind of set in place here, so you can see a quick overview of the modifications we have to make. So obviously we need to transfer our vents over to this. There's a top piece that needs to get transferred over. Alright, so what these spacers do is they are going to actually shim out the HVAC controls. As you can see right now, there's this gap. It will push them closer to this dash piece here. That way it looks correct. Also, if you're going to put a standard double-din unit in here, this piece right here sticks up higher than the radio. So what you have to do, you have to take a cutter and cut the plastic here. So I've got this pulled out here so everything's out of the way. Take my buzz saw and just trim this out. Really not that difficult. Alright, so it didn't take quite enough off of this side. We do have to remove the piece where the old radio mounted. In the new stereo, the brackets kind of come out further and will mount out here. Alright, so that's what that should look like. So on the side of the Atoto, there's just these 3 small screws on each side that mount this metal bracket. And then this is from the kit. This is right. This will be the left. As you can see, when these go in here, it will allow it to mount it a little further out, like this. Alright, so let's talk about your options for this little cubby here. So you cannot reuse the factory ashtray. And by the way, there is a screw that's supposed to go through the back of the ashtray, which could make this hard for you to get off. Mine did not have it in there, so I didn't even know it was there, but just in case. So they include this little piece here, which you could stick in here. That doesn't really create any usable, like, you're not going to be able to put anything on there, but it just looks kind of decent. They also include this flat one that you can stick in here. So this one would just kind of, once it's installed, just kind of be a flat panel that covers that. And I'm probably going to use this one, and here's why. I'm going to be drilling a hole in it, and I'm going to install this USB extension cable, and that'll plug into the USB on the back of the unit. The other one will just run to the glove box. That way I can just easily plug my phone in here and have, you know, the Android Auto or CarPlay, and have like a factory looking USB port basically. This just fits in a 3/4 inch hole. As far as the GPS antenna, it cannot have metal in between it. I didn't want to hook it to the windshield in case you ever fold it down. So this is like, you can kind of see it's laid back at like an angle there. So that's how I'm going to mount the GPS antenna right there. It has a clear view of the sky. The plastic trim will go back over it, but there'll be nothing in between it and the sky except the glass windshield. Alright, so I'm making all my connections now. There's 2 USB cables. One says phone link. That's the one you want to plug your smartphone into. Another one says storage. It's going to just run into the glove box. So you can see how I mounted, just made a 3/4 inch hole with a 3/4 inch hole saw and pop that USB port in there. And then it's just going to run behind these AC controls to get to the back of the stereo. Alright, so like I said, there's a lot of adjustment in the screen. It's important you just keep kind of like moving the stereo out a little bit and up until you get it just right, and then put just some screws that weren't included in my kit. I don't know if they are in the Metro kit or not. This is like the generic version of that. And then I just kind of secured it, so it's nice and secure in here like that. So then when we go to put this piece on, basically it just clips in at the bottom and then screws in at the top. See, I think that looks pretty good. Could almost have it come out just a hair more, but I don't think it would really fit like that. So here's how it looks installed. Go ahead and turn the key back here. Make sure everything works. So it does have the instant on feature with the Atoto, so turn that down. So it will boot right to the home screen. If the radio does sit for a long time or you reboot it, there is a long boot screen. I'm going to show you how to make a custom boot screen, or I should say install one. So I've got a Jeep logo on here that I want to use, and if you want a copy of it, there'll be a link to my website listed in the description. I'm going to go to settings. In settings, I'm going to go to system startup logo. Alright, so it says current car logo. It says put your logo image in a folder named My Car in the root directory of the external storage device. Alright, so I'll show you how to do that. You could do it outside of here, or you could go to the file manager and in the USB drive. There's the Jeep logo I want. So I'm going to make a new folder called My Car. Alright. And I'm going to copy this Jeep logo. So I will copy it, go into my car, paste it, and get out of here. I'll go back to system settings, system startup logo, and there's our Jeep logo. It has appeared. I'll click on it. It says processing, please wait. So if you want to see what that looks like, just go ahead and do a reboot. So again, on a reboot or a cold boot, that's what you will see right there. I'll also give you an idea how long it takes. There you go. So there's a full boot. Again, it will not do that. Normally, when you turn the car on and off, it will just go blank and it will boot right up. Okay, so depending on what you want for your screen widgets, everything is customizable, so you can just delete all this stuff off the screen. So this is the home screen, so I want it to be pretty clutter free. I will have to set the time. And maybe over here, the radio. So I actually use the radio a lot, even though it's right there. You can just click that and it will start the radio. Or you can click on it and it will go into it like that. So while you're playing music, it'd probably be a good idea to go into the equalizer and set up your levels. You see loudness on and off. They call it time correction. It's kind of like a virtual surround, bass boost. This is your sound field or your balance controls. And there's a crossover, high and low pass crossover for the front and rear. So if you have a dedicated subwoofer, you could cut low frequencies to your front speakers. That way they just take care of more of the mid and the high range. So it does have a fully functional digital signal processor built in. It is a very nice unit, especially at the price point. See, kind of like my IQ. There are presets like rock, soft, classic. So you can kind of go through those, see which one you like the best. I kind of set mine up the way I like it myself. And you can't always hit the default button and return to stock. So there's a bunch of apps. Obviously, there's the Google Play Store. Once you get on a Wi-Fi hotspot, or if you have the optional 4G SIM card in the unit, it's unlimited what you can do once you're in the Play Store and you download apps. I would recommend, especially in a Jeep Wrangler, downloading an offline navigation app. So pick the one you want. But that way, if you're ever in an area where there's no cell service, you'll have a fully functional navigation head unit. They do have a dedicated app for reverse camera to pull it up. They also have something really neat. You can get an optional DVR camera that mounts in the windshield. And that would be this DVR cam app that is already pre-installed. You just buy the optional windshield mounted camera for the window, and it'd be very easy just to run it's just a USB wire up to there, and that extra USB cable that I ran in the glove box is the one you're going to plug that into for your dash cam. So I probably will be adding a dash cam in the future. I just always like to have one in the vehicle. So again, you can connect your phone to Bluetooth. I did not hook up the optional microphone. I mean, this is a Jeep. You're not going to hear me anyway when I'm driving, but there is a microphone in the display that you can use, especially for like voice commands and stuff like that. Phone calls, not going to be the greatest quality like in a Jeep. Now, if you had the top on, especially if you had a hard top, that's a different story. Might be worth hooking up that external microphone and mounting it up here somewhere. There is auxiliary inputs, whether it's video or just audio. Again, your Bluetooth phone interface, once you're connected to that. There is Bluetooth 2, So what's really neat about that is you can connect normal Bluetooth devices to the unit. There is an HDMI input. So a good idea is if you want to go into settings, device. So you might hear that touch sound, might be to get on your nerves. Go in here, we're going to turn the touch sound off. So here's the panel illumination button that I'm looking for. So we'll go in here, I'm going to change the color, and you can change these to whatever you want. I'd like them to match the Jeep colors. So I do have looks like a light burnout in here, but if you look at the dash, kind of like a yellow. So I think that is what I will use here. Alright, so you can also put music and videos directly on the head unit through the USB port. Click the video playing app here, it'll automatically bring up the videos that you have loaded on there. Supports a bunch of different formats. Works really nice. Music, same thing. Automatically load stuff you have on the unit. You can pull it up and put favorites in, and as you can see, works nicely. Alright, so now I'll show you how Android Auto works. So I'm going to plug my phone in. And like I said, you can do it wirelessly. I prefer to use the cable personally, so that's what I'm going to show you. And then we'll click the CarLink app, which is actually this one here. And it's also in the menu. It says CarLink 2.0. Put that, and it will automatically load. So you can see that Pandora pops up. So there's our main screen. So this is Android Auto. Obviously, Apple CarPlay is similar. If you turn on your headlights, it will dim and go to the black. Let me show you. Alright, so for instance, you're in the map at night, turn on your headlights, it turns dark, just like any old standard Apple CarPlay. Not going to go through the whole thing. They do have the HD version though, which is nice with the split, so you can see how that works. To connect it wirelessly though, it's a little bit different. You basically need to pair it via Bluetooth in the Bluetooth app, and then go back to CarLink 2.0 and it will connect. Obviously, once you have your phone paired, you can make calls. Kind of already talked about this. Not a very good experience in the Jeep with the top off. You're not going to be able to hear. Alright, so for those of you with a TJ, they do offer an optional, TPMS kit, and you can get the ones that are just simply screw-on caps. Not the greatest thing in the world, but it does work pretty good. It will show you your tire pressures. It will warn you if you have a low tire. And like I said, the app is already installed on here. It's TPMS. You just have to buy the sensor kit, and then it will show you tire pressures. So just another optional feature that you can add. Alright, so the rain's getting a lot harder outside. It's probably getting hard to hear, but I just want to say, so it is Android. The features are pretty much limitless. Anything you can do on an Android tablet, you can do on this head unit, which really brings your older Jeep into this decade here and allows you to do a lot more stuff on it. So for most of us, it'll just be mapping and occasional Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But if you do connect it to Wi-Fi, again, you can run the apps directly on the head unit, such as Pandora, Spotify, Waze. All that stuff will run natively on the head unit. You don't even have to have your smartphone with you. So something to keep in mind. Alright, so again, this is a little tricky on these earlier TJs. And, it's a similar process on the 03 to 06, but these earlier ones, a little bit more challenging, but you can see it turned out pretty good. Fit and finish is alright. I hope the video was helpful. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. There will be a link in the description where you can buy this unit, and again a link to my webpage where you can download the Jeep logo if you want to install that. I'll also have links to all the accessories like the DVR camera and the backup camera and like the USB cable I used, just to make it easier for you, and those will be in the description. Thanks for watching. Until next time, we'll see you later.